It is.
It's a good day to be in the house of the Lord. If you would, turn with me to Jonah. Yeah, we're going to talk about Jonah today. Everybody know about Jonah, right?
Talk about that fish.
That big old fish. But it's some other stuff about Jonah that we're going to learn about today. Because, you know, each one of us could be Jonah at any given time.
Amen. See it.
Amen. When you have it, say amen. If you need time, say just give me a little time.
Just a little time.
Okay, it's in the Old Testament. It's in the middle of Obadiah, which that ain't easy to find either. It's almost at the end though. Go back to the end. It's in front of Haggai, in front of Zephaniah, and all of that good stuff. But if you don't have it, you can always catch up. So we're only going to read 3 verses.
I'll get you.
All right, amen. And the reason is this. Now the word of the Lord came unto Jonah, the son of Amittai, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, the great city, and cry against it, for their wickedness is come up before me. But Jonah rose up to flee unto Tarshish from the presence of the Lord, and went down to Joppa and found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid the fare thereof and went down into it to go with them unto Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. Amen. When we talk about Jonah, we know that Jonah is a prophet. He's one of the minor prophets of the Bible. And they call him the runaway prophet. Why did they call him the runaway prophet? Because he ran from the word of God. God told him to get up and go to Nineveh and preach against Nineveh. Now let's understand what Nineveh was. Nineveh was the capital city of the Assyrians. They were really, really bad people. They were actually barbaric people. They were hateful. They were wicked. And Jonah was a Jew. These were Gentiles, and they were constantly at war. They were so bad that when they caught somebody in captivity, they would skin them alive. They would cut off their hands. They would decapitate them and make pyramids out of their heads. Just really, really bad people. I mean, that's a pretty barbaric way to do somebody, even your enemy, to actually chop off their heads and make statues out of them. So these were barbaric people, and Jonah said, I don't want to go down there to preach the gospel to these people. Because one thing he knew about God, God was merciful, his grace was sufficient for everybody, and these folks just might hear the gospel and change. He didn't want them to change, he wanted them to be dead. Why don't you just curse them, God, kill them all, and then that'll be it. So, Jonah said, I'm not going. I'm going the other way. Now, Nineveh was 500 miles to the north. Jonah was going to Tarshish, which was 2,500 miles to the south. He wanted to do anything he could not to go to Nineveh. But see, when you're away from the will of God, things start to go downhill. Jonah went down to Joppa to find a boat. He went down to inside the middle of the boat, and he went down inside the belly of the fish eventually. So when you get away from the will of God, your life is going to start to go down. So Jonah finds this boat that's going to Tarshish. As far away, he found a boat that was going as far away as he could go away from where it was supposed to go. Running away from the will of God. He figured he could hide. So the title of my sermon is, You Can Run, But You Can't Hide.
Amen.
There's no way you can hide from God. Because God is omnipotent.
Right.
He's omnipresent. He's sovereign. He knows everything. He sees everything. He is
Everything.
everything.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
So if he go to Nineveh, God is there.
Yeah.
If he goes to Joppa, God is there.
Mhm.
If he goes to Tasha, God is there.
Mm-hmm.
So we already know that he's fighting a losing battle already.
Amen.
So he finds this ship, and he pays the fare. See, when you're away from the will of God, you always have to pay the payment.
Mm.
You pay with your happiness. You pay with your money. You ever had God tell you to do something and you didn't do it, and you see yourself every time you get paid, you can't make ends meet.
Amen. Yeah.
Or every time you look around, there's a bill.
Yeah.
Something wrong with the car,
Mhm.
or something wrong with the house. That's how the will of God works when you're away from the will of God. You always see things going downhill. You're going to have to pay the price. So, he gets on this boat, and they allow him to buy a ticket and get on the boat. And he goes down in the bottom of the boat, and he goes to sleep. I've got over on God, so I'm going to take me a nap. So the boat casts off to sea. And as soon as they get to sea, what happens? A great storm comes over. You ever had a storm in your life?
Amen. Amen.
We have storms all the time.
Yes.
Mhm.
Great storm comes over. The King James calls this a tempest. A tempest is not just a regular storm. You know, these are fishermen. They've seen regular storms, but this storm right here was the storm beyond storms. As soon as they got out on the sea. So they wonder, what's going on? You know, because they had seen storms before, but
Right.
this was a magnificent storm. So they knew this was something different. And they said, okay, we need to pray. So they prayed to their gods. They didn't have the one true living God like we do. They had pagan gods. So they started praying to their gods to no avail. The storm got bigger. So they wonder, what's going on? We never seen this before. What is really happening? So they thought about, what about this guy that's down in the hole? So they went down in the hole and they got their cargo, because this was a cargo ship, and that's the way they made their money. And they started throwing the cargo over the ship so that they wouldn't perish. So the end result was this guy was down inside of the ship, asleep. So the captain went down there and he woke him up. Hey, who are you? And he said, my name is Jonah. I'm a Hebrew. And the captain asked him, what God do you serve? And he said, I serve the one true living God, the one that made the heavens and the seas. And that's when the captain knew that Jonah was the one that, the reason that the sea was at storm. So, he asked Jonah, what are we supposed to do? Jonah told him, why don't y'all throw me off the boat? Because see, now Jonah was at the point to where he was so adamant that he wasn't going over to Nineveh that he would rather die. He said, cast me into the sea. And the captain said, no, we're just going to try to row this boat. So they was rowing. They was rowing. They was rowing. Have you ever had a situation to come up in your life and you just didn't seem to know why things were going wrong?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's not even your storm.
Mm-hmm.
It's somebody else's storm that you might need to kick off the boat. But you keep rowing. That person in your life that you know is no good for you. You try to hold on them and you keep rowing. You keep rowing. Trying to make it a dry land in the midst of the storm. That job that you know that you need to not have, there was another one offered, but you want to keep that one. You keep rowing. You keep rowing. That situation that you just don't want to give up. That drug that you've been doing. that alcohol.
Yeah.
Sometimes that food. You keep rowing. You keep rowing to no avail. So they couldn't get to dry land. The storm was just too bad for them to comprehend. So last result, they picked Jonah up. Get your tail off this boat. And they put him off the boat. And guess what happened? Y'all know what happened?
Yeah.
What happened?
The
Storm was
sea
over.
just ceased. The storm ceased. I mean, it was just like calm land. But see, that's what we have to realize when we are in a storm. We have to look at our walk, because our walk means a lot. You know, sometimes we think we're doing more than we are for the will of God. Because these sailors were veteran sailors. They thought when they was rowing, they were doing the right thing, because, hey, I've been in many storms, so I'm rowing. But I just can't seem to get it to where I need to go. But Jonah, after he got into the sea, God had positioned or made a fish to swallow him up. Now that's something now, because anybody know that a fish can't swallow a man? Everybody know that, right? But when God is in something, he'll make whatever possible. They said so it was a whale, but the word doesn't say it was a whale. But scientists have even said, and they have done research that said, whale can't swallow a man. So this had to be a special fish.
Great fish.
A great fish, that's what the word says. So, this great fish comes up. Jonah thinks he's dying. He good, because he ain't going to Nineveh. That's 100. You know how they say keep it 100? That's 100. He ain't going to Nineveh. I don't care what you tell me. I'm not going to Nineveh.
Vinegar.
So he's in the sea. This fish come and swallow him up.